And welcome everybody to just kind of Stitch Social, just kind of working on some stuff and tutorial work today. And you're more than welcome to chat with me if you would like to. I'm just learning how to knit with pom-pom yarn. I knit with a smaller version of pom-pom yarn, but these are big honking pom-poms, and I'm working my way through a journey of trying to do this bath mat with it. And anyway, I had to retake like 5 times just to get it started in order to just understand it, because I'm not used to having such big things in my hand. So welcome, and welcome. You can say where you're from. Hello to everybody that's already just joining us now. So Patty and Angela and Emma and Robin, you are first up today. And just kind of working my way through this journey of just playing with this yarn. So I had this cockamamie idea in my head last night. I should figure out how to do a tutorial with Pomp A Doodle, because honestly, I have no life. So welcome. So are you a knitter, crocheter, in between, neither, or everybody's welcome here. And yeah, so we're getting started. So it's cooling down here in the north. We are expecting a bit of a hurricane conditions, not, I think, full-blown hurricane, but just weather conditions over Sunday and Monday. So Hurricane Nicole is coming up this way. So Daniel's kind of preparing for that as well, behind the scenes, just kind of making sure things are away and whatever. Yeah, so anyway, I just kind of working my way through things. The lunar light, I was out last night. I never saw it, but it said that we wouldn't see it, so I never saw it. Yeah, so we have Massachusetts in the house, and we have all the way from South Africa today, and is listing all of the techniques that they're involved with. So you can name it, Dale's probably involved. So just making sure I'm not screwing it up already. So 2, 4, 6. And guess who's already screwing it up? I am. So yeah. So what else we got? What do people have going on right at this moment in time? Lots of creativity I was seeing online these days. So 2, 4, and this one was a pearl. Yeah, so we have there. I wish it would cool down 80 degrees in Texas. I don't know how you Texans can handle the heat, honest to God. But, who am I to judge? I don't know. So I used to be a transport driver before this job. So my butt has been all over North America. So I've been able to see a lot of things that are kind of unique in the sense of temperatures and the way people live and all of that. And that was one of the appeals that started this whole journey when I started, is that people would have their thing. People would have that. Does it matter which way the cast on? I think it does for certain patterns. I've just been doing the twist and transfer, but Yarn Inspirations gave me a whole list of things doing that. So Brianna was doing an axe throwing thing yesterday for team building. I could throw a few axes today. I don't know if it's team building, but it would definitely be aggression, outreach. Yeah, for me. So taking a break. So Lisa's just using me as an excuse just to have a break. Fabulous. Yeah. So anyway, so I got to see during my trucking years and where kind of people live. My most favorite states, as I've always mentioned, if you've been with us before, I really like New Mexico is one of my favorites. Oregon or Washington State for sure is high on my list of all the states that I really like. Just the temperatures and just the environment and the people seem to be really good. So I'm doing a bath mat in knit format. I'm in between video takes, and I'm not used to having big things in my hand. I know. I'll just leave it at that. So there we go. So Lisa says she was looking forward to the break. So I'm a great reason to have a break, I suppose, today. So I've still been knitting. I did a little crafter, like a little sweater yesterday in ornament format. And so I have to get my button gear and edit that video. I had quite a few outtakes on that. and because I was improvising from the pattern quite a bit. I don't know about you, but when you have something that's broken or you feel like you're going to screw it up, you always kind of improvise. So I did that on the tutorial, saying if I were you, I would do this, and I would do that, and I would do this, and I would do that. So not breaking the rules as per se, kind of coming up with my own rules so that I don't make it look terrible. And then I was using the most ugliest yarn ever in the prototype. Actually, it's already in the garbage. And then when I did the actual filming, I used what I had left over of Karen Cakes in the blues, so it actually looked really good, to my point of view. So during the lockdown, yes, the good old days of the lockdown, GA from CA, talking about that. I think a lot of people learned to knit and crochet during the pandemic for sure. For that, it was kind of like a double-edged sword in so many ways. I was kind of freaking out about the pandemic, and then we got knocked on the door by Yarnspiration, said, you know, this is your opportunity to keep people busy during a pandemic. And so I was in a mental kind of like downward spin, and so I realized that I have to be like the person to kind of drag people through the pandemic on a educational level. And I'm like, oh my God. So I wasn't feeling it, but I have to fake it and smile. And it's one of those things behind the scenes. Not everything in front of the cameras is what you think it is. So I went through my little melodrama here on the Crochet Crowd YouTube channel about the knitting. Oh my God. Anyway, I was like, to the point over the weekend, I was so disappointed, I think more in myself than I am in the community of the people that were really hating the journey. And it's really because they had valid concerns about me learning to knit and dragging it onto the Crochet Crowd. So so Danny was talking to me, and he goes, you know, you really have changed the format by introducing a different hobby. And I said, yeah, but I'm trying to keep myself mentally sane too. And so he says, well, you're going to have to fix that. And so, and I was thinking a lot about this, and I was thinking about TV producers and stuff, reality shows. So you act in front of the camera, and then you kind of walk away from the camera, and then you just let people do their thing. But as a YouTube creator, you can never do that. You can't just walk away. You are the person that has to answer to everybody, do all the work and editing and all that fun stuff. So you'd really never get a sense of just being able to ignore the community in that way, which is a good thing because it makes you more connectable really to people. And the argument that, well, you know, knitting and crochet is like using yarn, that's really the only fundamental to it. The rest of it is a frame set of mind. And yeah, so so I've always been just staying on the crochet side. That's part of my problem, and our community is much bigger too. I'm a lot more vocal. So look at this, a big honking piece of fun stuff. So this is called Pomp A Doodle. I kind of found it in my collection, and I'm getting started with this yarn though. Was like, yeah. So I actually did say in the tutorial, are you feeling homicidal at this point? Keep it real, right? And so anyway, this yarn I don't think you can crochet with. I've tried other pom-pom yarns with crochet, and it is a nightmare trying to figure out where your stitches are going to go. And so anyway, I was just like, oh my God. So with knitting, it always stays on the needle, so it's easier to find. But no guarantees it won't make you homicidal though at this point. So, okay, so Natty has been crocheting for 45 years. And Albert says, good morning this morning. Yeah, so what else? The pandemic did a number on many of us. I think honestly, the pandemic really did do a number on people mentally and also just vocally as well on what people are fighting about. And so I think people kind of hit their limit. One of the most this is really more of a personal statement, but one of the most disappointing things, I guess, and the expression Karen really bugs me a lot. And I know that it was used well before the pandemic. I looked it up. And but the word that it takes a woman's name and associates it with negativity really kind of bothers me a lot, especially with people that are in my age category where their name has been Karen the whole time. And just hearing the name kind of just gives you like that backlash of the pandemic, people being called Karen because they're just like having a flip out in the stores and stuff. So I kind of really kind of feel bad for people that have that name. But on the other side, on the comical side, Daniel and I are known as Brenda and Karen at one of the restaurants that we typically go on date night with. So I don't know how that happened, but there is a gay couple on TikTok, and these two guys just fight like bitches. And anyway, they labeled themselves as Brenda and Karen. And anyway, but I think they're actually being serious. I don't think it's acting for the camera. And I'm like, God, if I was in a relationship with those two, I think I'd be the one walking out of the room for sure. So I have zero patience for anger, and to the point where you can't discuss stuff. So yeah, I had somebody in my life one time that is no longer part of my life, which I'm so grateful for. But anyway, the person would lash out and say every mean thing and possibly in their body. And then 5 minutes later, they're like, oh, I didn't mean it. Meanwhile, you've just been like accosted for like 5-10 minutes and completely degraded as a human being. And I'm like, you know what? That is my line in the sand. And that is where my limit is. It's like for being able to accept people for their differences. I'm not willing to accept that in people. So it kind of makes me weird. Yep. So it's kind of fun. Okay, so another thing that I was kind of watching and I was just so pissed off. I was so mad about the on TikTok. I know I got to get a life. So anyway, all these kids is taking extra candy out of the bowls and then being filmed on TikTok. Anybody seen that stuff? Oh, I don't have kids. Um, and we, based on where we live, we don't have kids show up at the door. But if somebody ever did that to me, where the kid literally dumps the whole bowl into their bag, I'd be like, game over. You know what? Your parents can buy your candy for you at that point. I just think it just ruins it. I remember seeing it one time when I was a kid that happened, and I just thought it was the ignorant thing ever. And then on TikTok, you see parents helping the children dump the bowls into their bag. Oh, but then it kind of occurred to me because I was getting more angry as I was watching this thing, like the different clips. There's one lady was like raiding a whole neighborhood with her kid, and I realized that probably people put the whole bowls out there to see if the kids will do that, and then they end up becoming TikTokable. But anyway, I have zero respect for that. Just absolutely, it's not funny. It's everybody works hard for the money, and the candy is not cheap, right? And so to see that happen is absolutely disgusting. Just infuriates me. And again, I have no kids, so I have no reason to judge that. But I was like so mad. So give a heart if that infuriates you, because it just infuriates me. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is called Pomp A Doodle. It's discontinued yarn, but a lot of people buy yarn and that sits and dies a slow death in their collection. So that's was dying a slow death in my collection for sure. And so I thought I'd just kind of revive it back out and see how it is to knit with now that I'm learning how to knit. I don't even know how I ended up with this yarn. It's probably one of those moments where you're looking at it, I could use that, and you buy it and you have no purpose for it. And anyway, so it's apparently a bath mat. So I will post pattern on it later. Look at the, oh, well, okay, now it's starting to make sense. God, this thing is thick. Girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, and those to be decided, and everybody that knows exactly what they are. Thick. Yes. So it's kind of fun. But it is kind of like grapes. Somebody said it was kind of like grapes. I can see crocheting onto an edge, yes. And I can also see dead people too. It's kind of like for crochet, I think it would be a frustrating yarn for sure. Just keeping it real, right? And, yeah. Okay, so loving your autumn cabin tutorial throw. That one was a kind of a fluke. I just looked at it and I said, God, it would be good to have a tutorial for that. And so I filmed it. So sometimes it's just taking a risk and seeing what's new and different. I've been around so long. How long have you been around? I've been around a long time that the yarn companies, they tend to recycle a lot of patterns. So a lot of patterns get recycled with a different color or a different yarn brand. So I'm kind of looking for more stuff that is more educational based. Yeah. What's your new favorite knitting yarn? What have I been playing with? I've been playing with, Peyton's Classic Wool Worsted. Wow. Just absolutely floored. With crochet, with the knitting though, holy cow, it changes the whole property, be thinner and soft. Just surprised me a lot. So of course I had to place an order for more. And that's kind of what we have going on here. Maybe a log cabin stitch along. I don't know. So I'm kind of doing the snow hot chocolate and hot snow days with hot chocolate right now. I'm doing that. The stitch alongs are a lot of work, so I got to be selective when I do that. So it's a combination, Darlene. Sorry, not Darlene. So the yarn company sends me yarn on the basis that I am doing something with it. So it's just not like a free for all. So in order to get that, you have to work your butt off to do it. So people say, well, it must be nice to get free yarn. It's not free. You're working for it. And you work to demonstrate it. And so there's that sense. And then I do a lot of charity giving. So if I get too much, then I will literally pass it to a charity. I sometimes do giveaways too. But I'm at the point now with Yarn Inspirations is like, don't send me any yarn unless I ask for it. And the only reason for it is that I don't want to be buried in yarn at my home. So I'm trying to have plans for when I get yarn. So right now I just received, it's called a sampler kit. So I got the sampler kit. It's actually right behind me. So the sampler kit is, will look like something like this. So what they do is they send me, this is not one of them, but that's something I got. So anyway, they send me a sample of yarn that is coming out or it's just freshly renewed. So they sent me a Caron cake with a new color lineup. And so this one here is called Tropical Frosting. This is Caron Cakes. So they sent that to me. And then they had another version of this. So this one's Caron Cakes Blackberry Jelly. And then they sent me an example because Caron Colorama Halo is exclusive to Joanne. So, and it's made by Yarn Inspirations. So they sent me one halo. And this is all I want. I don't want like hordes and hordes of yarn in my house. They sent me Caron Cloud Cakes. That's available at my local Michael's. And the color here is Fuchsia Fire. And then they sent me Caron Spice Cakes, just one ball. Cherry Sunshine. I really like this yarn. I think this yarn would be fun to knit with. Right. Then they sent me another. What's that? Oh, Karen Cloud Cakes. I love the coloring of this one. Karen Cloud Cakes. Coloring is lava. They sent me one ball of Karen Spice Cakes. This is Indigo Go. Love this. I think this would be amazing as a knit hat. So I gotta find a pattern for that. And then they sent me, this is a double hander. They sent me an example of the new type of Karen Anniversary Cakes in a variegated format. I haven't even opened it yet. So, okay, so Karen Anniversary Cakes at the new color line. Oh my God, I just learned that stitch. The double the stripes knit blanket. I just learned how to do that stitch. It's on that hat that I just did. Oh, jeez. See, now that I'm starting to learn to knit, I'm starting to understand how these patterns are done. So there's a lot of yardage there on those for sure. So that's what we kind of get as a sampler box. So, and then if I want something that I think that I'm going to use for like a stitch along or something, I'll just ask for a little bit more of the, like a couple colors, and that's it. So yeah. So people are under the illusion, how big are the anniversary cakes? Big. They are 35.3 ounces, and it's 1,000 grams for those that are in Canada or the UK, and it is 1,061 yards, or if you're in the metric like we are here in Canada, it is 970 meters. So it's a big boy. So those are found at Michael's if you're interested in those. So Kristen asked a question. It's Kristen Quinn asked the question. I don't know what the question was. So we are sponsored to teach, but everything is like, you got to be accountable. You just can't ask for stuff and not do anything with it. So yeah. So sometimes some of these boxes are like, oh my God, there's more hand cramps waiting to happen. So, and then sometimes I get a preview like months in advance of what the new yarns are coming out, so I can think about it and work through tutorial work. A great example was the Paydens Inspired. I got that before it went out to the public, and I did my book with the blue sample of Paydens Inspired before I did it, before that was even the public knew about it. So it's kind of neat to do that. So the anniversary cakes is 6. So 6 is super bulky. So somebody did the study of the journey. It only took 1 1/4 of oh my God. Really? That's kind of surprising. So I just looked at Michael's website. It's all 30% off. Yeah. So the book is still available. Yep. It's, as far as I know, it's on Amazon if you want that, or get it at your local bookstore. So the deal was with my publisher at the time that we don't try to encourage Amazon. There's a lot of independent little mom and pop shops that could use the business. So they asked me to kind of push the idea of go to your local bookstore and have it ordered in for you to keep the local bookstores alive. So it's not like a blanket yarn. It's like a worsted, just a thick worsted. Mikey, how can you cover the whole of a CD? I'm using the base of crocheted basket. I don't know if I understand the question. So the title of the book is just called The Crochet Crowd. It's our same business name. It's just Daniel and I on the cover. I don't even think I have it here. Oh, I don't. So I was given like a few copies to give away, but those are long gone. But so Patty's just ordered a book. So the book is kind of like storytelling, a little bit, kind of the journey, and then there was 15 patterns inside the book. So it'll be the only book that we ever do. So if you're thinking about like something that's extra special, I don't plan on making any other books. It was too hard of a work to go through a second edition and more. It was a lot more work than I anticipated. I heard that it was, but now that I've gone through it, I confirm that it is. So it looks like Wendy's joining us on the chat now. Are your live chats available in case you miss them? Yes, they are recorded as you go. So they're just Stitch socials. So if you don't want to hang out with us and talk in real time, it's okay. There's never any pressure. It's getting heavier in my hands. I know. So having a cup of tea on the go. I could use a cup of tea right now. It's currently 12 noon in my time zone. Sounds good right about now. Can you do a dolly sometime? I really suck at amigurumi. I'm not even good, Brenda. I am not even going to deny it. My amigurumi looks like Sin. So if Sin had a look, it's my amigurumi. My dolls look like they have been run over or come out of a nuclear plant pool or something. I lack something, and maybe it's the attention to detail or just the finesse of doing it. But amigurumi for me is like one of the hardest things of crochet. And I have the idea in my head that it's going to be so cute and then I'm finished. And it looks like, honestly, that I would just drive it right to the dump and just dump it off. Oh, just so disappointing. I did an amigurumi. I've talked about this before, but I did an amigurumi mermaid once. Oh my God, she was horrific. So anyway, I took her to a show because, I was kind of proud of her. And I wasn't sure what I was thinking, but the doll looked, I gave her green eyes. It looked like it was so deathly sick. And anyway, we hung her from a lamppost in the show. And people were like, Mikey, that's nice. And you're like, oh. And so anyway, she was nicknamed in the show as Wanda Puckoff. So, because, Bish called Wanda. And anyway, it was just so ghastly. It was like awful. So Wanda didn't last long. So she went to a show, and it's one of those ones you can't even give it away. So it's kind of funny. So amigurumi, there is definitely a trick there, and I don't think I have that skill. So, and I know there's other people on YouTube that can teach amigurumi a lot better than I can. I like the blanket stuff, like the blankets and home deck stuff. And then, oh my God, then how bad it is. Then I put on the damn eyes, and the damn eyes look like they're just space cadets. The eyes are way too far apart from each other, or they just like are crooked in some way. And so suddenly this cute doll just turns into a complete monster. And it's like, oh, yeah. So how am I weaning off Tim Hortons? Not bad. I'm down to, if I have to do Timmy's in a day, and I've been very stressed lately, so I will share that. And it's an emotional trigger for me to go to Tim Hortons. It's at least one, it's just once a day. So that's at least something, but it's not every day that I'm going in. So that's good. Depending on, I had a rough weekend, so I was like triggered. Yep. So okay, so lost faith. So maybe the name lost faith is kind of like she's lost faith, or they have lost faith in their ability of doing of doing amigurumi. Yeah, for me that ship has sailed. So yeah. So yeah, apparently amigurumi though, you have to be tight. Now we don't talk about such nasty things here on the Crochet Crowd, but tight, I don't know what that means. So these chats are just when my mood strikes. I'm in between video takes. At the moment, so yeah. Have fun and see you later, says somebody. I tend to make blankets more too. I like blankets. I'm a fat boy, so I don't like to make clothing because I don't want to remind myself that what the size I'm actually crocheting for. And it's like I'm just sitting there. It's like, oh man, this this sweater is going to take forever. It's like I'm crocheting. Then it's like I'm crocheting like a blanket, and then I realize it's a sweater for me. I'm like, okay then. But then if you were following me on Facebook this morning, I was filming the idea of being stitch curious, and I just was trying to find this yarn actually. And anyway, I looked down and I forgot about my Halloween sized bag of chips that are stashed behind my yarn collection. So yeah, so it's kind of, so I kind of revealed that on camera this morning. So, okay, so Shauna's talking about sitting too long. I'm feeling the same way, Shauna. If I'm just crocheting too much or I'm here on the computer, you should see how I walk at nighttime. It's not even funny. It's I'm actually I'm more disappointed in myself than anything that I've let myself get to a point where I feel like I'm disabled. And that's because I'm not eating properly and a lot of different things. So now it's starting to make sense. It only took how many rows? Thick. So anybody else kind of struggle with that? You kind of just, you get yourself to the point where you're sitting too much. A great conversation happened with Kristen Omdahl. She's a crochet designer, and she was saying that the hobby is so can be such a detriment to your health because you just sit way too long. And so it's one of those things to have a nice hobby, but then it ends up giving you permission to sit more than you probably should. But I'm not going to lecture anybody about that because I'm just like, you know, I got bigger fish to fry than to worry about that. A sit and a snack. Lee, we don't talk about that. That's the unwritten stuff we don't talk about. Because who doesn't have a bag of chips ready for you? Like if you're gonna sit for a binge crochet, you got to have some snacks, maybe a pop or something. So sitting is the new smoking, I'm sure. My mom got me some of those pedals when you sit. So kids, okay, tell me about your pedals. Are you actually using it, or is that just, collecting dust in a corner? I have seen that. I think honestly, I buy that and I'm going to pedal it twice because I feel good about myself, and then I will forget that I need to pedal. Don't be quoting me on stuff, Donna. Jeez. So yes, oh wow, she actually uses her. Okay, so by a vote here, how many people would get a pedal machine just so they can pedal and get nowhere on their couch? I can't see myself using that. You know what? I just don't have the willpower. I think that's what it is. I think I would just be mentally not prepared to do that. I'm not criticizing you for having one. I just don't think I would do that. I thought about putting a treadmill underneath my desk and walk. My desk is actually a raising desk, and the last time it raised, I don't know how many years have gone by. So Wendy said she'd end up with the yarn wrapped around the petals. That's true. See, Wendy, that you're making sense about, because then if you're really angry about the tangles and when you get it stuck around your petals, that thing would end up in a garage sale so fast. So I get up to go stretch when I have to go pee. How's that? Is that discipline or is that discipline? And sometimes I'm not in the mood because I'm in the middle of a row, so I don't want to ruin my zen. But then, you sit there just holding it. So there is a local gym here, but I think there's a waiting list to get in. I think their membership's at capacity. I honestly don't see myself doing that either. So making sense is your superpower. I'm not wearing my making sense shirt today to verify that. So it's like when people buy an exercise bike or something, it ends up becoming a clothes dryer. I knew somebody once where I went in their bedroom, and anyway, their big mountain of clothes, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of clothes. And it turns out it was bearing an elliptical machine. I'm like, what good's that gonna do? So okay, so Lee's got Lee has so anybody else has a exercise equipment that becomes a a clothes dryer or a clothes hanger. It's easy to happen. So thank you for the donation. One more row and walk the dog. Oh, they can walk themselves. Yeah. So we had a kind of an issue with our with the dog, with a little Salty. He broke free of the invisible fence. Anyway, found him on the road. Like, we live off the highway. Anyway, found him on the road and brought him back. But then he ended up being really crazy, almost to the point where he was like hyperventilating. So anyway, we had to do an emergency call to the vet. So then you might as well just bend over and give him your wallet. And it was after hours. And so we had to deal with that. That was on Saturday night. But the call to the vet was a good decision. It was just, we just haven't got the bill yet for that. So this knitting is not hard. It's just you got to be determined. This project though is interesting. So okay, so I'm gonna let you go. I hear Daniel's in the kitchen, and It is currently now 12:17 my time zone. So I will see you, and we hope you have a great day. And this here is actually starting to make sense. It only takes how many rows for it to make sense? But this is ultra thick. I don't know why I had the need to sniff the pom-poms. But I've had this yarn a while, and yeah, so a pretty neat idea. So I'll have the tutorial on the knitting crowd probably in the next week or so, if not a little longer, and that's it. So have a good one, and the sweater I'm wearing is from the store. Not that gifted yet. And I don't plan on making clothing. That's kind of my thing. So, okay, so let's go and a low, no, happy knitting pattern. Sweater down mysteriously. Pattern disappears for high and low, and no pattern, not happy. Had a beautiful knitting pattern, got back to the sweater, down and mysteriously disappeared. Oh, I see. So you lost your own pattern. Okay. Wendy, she lost her own pattern. Sweetie, you aren't the only one that happens to. So let's all give her some love. We all know what that's like, right? Or you forget the hook size that you used. I think that happens to everybody. So have a good afternoon, and we hope to see you again right here. Bye.